Welcome back to My Children's Chronic, but I'm Iconics podcast, where we delve into the realms of innovation, education, and human potential. I'm your host, Bruce Me, and today we're embarking on an enlightening journey to the fascinating world of dyslexia education, technology, and the transformative power of neuro-linguistic programming, NLP. Our guest today is none other than Louise Barnes, a trailblazer in the field of dyslexia education and technology, whose pioneering work has touched the lives of countless individuals around the globe. Louise brings a wealth of experience and insight to our conversation, offering a unique perspective on how we can harness the power of innovative solutions and NLP techniques to empower dyslexic individuals to reaching their full potential. Throughout our discussion, we'll be exploring the science behind dyslexia, the evolution of technology in supporting dyslexic learners, and the promising synergy between NLP and dyslexia interventions. Join us as we uncover the challenges, triumphs, and future direction in this critical field of education and human development. Stay tuned as we dive deep into the complexities and possibilities of dyslexia, education, and technology with the remarkable Louise Barnes. You won't want to miss a moment of this enlightening conversation. So welcome back to My Children's Chronic by My Click. If you have 6 words to describe yourself, what would it be and why?
Wow, that is such a good question. And I hadn't considered that. 6 words to describe myself. I am passionate about, I'm going to do it word by word. Is that okay?
Yeah, go for it.
About what I do and why I do it. I wake up thinking about it. It's kind of my purpose, alongside having a really pleasant life as well. But it is a real passion. I am driven because I've been doing what I do for 15 years. And although it's not always easy, I cannot see ever giving up. It's too important to me. I'd say I'm creative. I love working with people in the way that suits them best. And often that means that I have to get creative to accommodate them, or creative with ways that are going to help them move forward. So I'm not artistic, not that kind of creative, but creative in ways of thinking about people and how I can work with them. 3 more words. I'd like to think I'm fun. I certainly have fun, both in my everyday life and definitely in my work. I'm caring. I really care about people. That's, friends, fam, and also people I work with. And 1 more word. Oh my goodness, this is such a good question. I've run out of words. Hang on, there must be 1 more. I'm quite excited about life in general.
Yeah.
There you go. Is that okay?
Yeah, enthusiasm about life is great. I feel like you can't get through it, life.
That's the word. That's the word I was looking for. Enthusiastic, yeah. And if I'm not enthusiastic about something, I'm not going to do it, to be honest. I don't know if it's the same for you.
Yeah, like there's things that I like my line manager at one of the places that works, they would send me and the person that I worked with in a project about something, and I'm like, yeah, you don't understand. You asked for our expertise, and we have very different expertise, and you're asking for like experience. And I just ignore emails. I'm like, unless it's like need to be replied to, I just ignore emails. I'm like, yeah, great, whatever. I'm not even like acknowledged. Some people send that, it annoys me. I don't even send it, I just like don't read it. I read it and I'm like, yeah, whatever.
I know what you mean. I tend to read my emails, but what I don't do is organize them. My digital organization is like a bomb has gone off somewhere. It's probably not Not the greatest thing to admit to when I'm running a business, but it is true. I'm very scattered, and it doesn't hold my interest, the sort of organization side. What I'm really passionate about, to go back to that word, is working with the people, to get inside the brilliant brains of the people I work with and make the difference and make the transformation. All the sort of organizational, clerical side of it, now I'm that gets left, because I have no enthusiasm for that.
It's like I'm more of like I feel like we both are a very people person, and I like when I see people and work with them, it's amazing. And it's like I was doing a presentation, like a training, delivering some training, and somebody's like, "Why don't you start preparing for the next part?" And I'm like, "I want to see what people are doing. I want to, I want to engage with people. I want,
100
yeah, like." I'm like,
100% behind you with that. I always sort of, when trying to explain what I do to people, I say it's quite organic. Although I have a process and many years of experience to draw on, there is no one size fits all. Every brilliant brain is so different. Every personality is so different. So it has to be led by the person that I'm working with. It has to fit for them, even down to the time of day, the amount of time I work in the session. It has to be right for the individual. So yeah, it can be really hard to prepare. And I love what you said about you wanting to engage with people and seeing what comes up. Yeah.
yeah. I'm just like I do this role where I run my children's chronic and iconic. But when I do like deliver training and stuff like that, I get to see people's brains working, like their perspectives changing, and them actually being more enthusiastic to go back to work and
Wow.
try out whatever we're talking about. And that, oh my God, it's like a high that I can't get from doing clerical stuff.
Yeah.
That would work and spreadsheet, but like,
Completely agree. I always call working with a client my happiness. And my husband he'll sort of see me after a session. He'll just go, "Wow, you just look alive. You just look really." He'll say, that one's gone really well. I can tell you've got this big grin on your face, and it really is my happy place. I mean, don't get me wrong, I enjoy lots of other things as well. My life isn't solely about what I do, but it is a blessing, I think, to be to be able to feel that way, doing something you love so much, and to get exactly that high from dealing with people and really interacting. I think that's a real gift, actually.
yeah, I feel like it's so difficult. Like, like I feel like my life is orientated around work. It's like for example, like I like get my nails done. Right now I don't have my nails done. Yeah, that's a whole another problem as well. People think I'm having a mental health crisis when I don't have my nails done because I always have my nails done. Um
Right.
yeah, but that's a whole another problem. Anyway, what was I talking about? Like, if I get my nails done, I'm there and I'm like, this is so not like neurodivergent friendly. I don't like this. I don't like this. And I'm like, okay. And in my head, I'm formulating a business plan whilst getting my nails done. And I'm like, oh, yeah, this is what I would do. How would I get funding? And I'm like, it's just I like making things accessible and enjoyable. Like going to the like getting my nails done is great. I like the end product, but that whole 2 hour process, I feel like the most enjoyable part is getting your like feet done because you get massages and it's like nice and friendly and yeah. But I'm like, I feel like the world is so inaccessible that I just want to make everything accessible.
Which is brilliant, absolutely. And I get what you're saying about you're going to do something unwork related, like get your nails done with your feet, but you can't help yourself. Sort of
Mm.
thinking, how would I do that? Yeah, it's more of a it's all. I hesitate to use the word vocation, but it is, isn't it? When you're really, really in something and it means the world to you, like clearly our jobs do to us, then you almost don't switch your brain off because you're always seeing opportunities, I think, and ideas, and you just can't help it. But again, I think sometimes that's a really nice place to be. I'd much rather have that than go to an office, or not saying there's anything wrong with working in an office, but in the past when I've had jobs where I haven't had that drive and passion for what I'm doing, then it's not so much fun.
Mm,
Rather
definitely.
have the constant thinking, to be honest.
I feel like there's like in a job, like this, it's not like this with a lot of I have some like none of my jobs are really office space. I feel like one of my jobs are going to become office space. But it's also that flexibility. I like the flexibility of going to an office, interacting with other people, and then shutting myself in a meeting room doing work.
Yeah.
Like it's but at the same time, it's like when you meet people, I don't know, it just makes my day. When I do inductions and I'm like, and I have 8 meetings and I'm like, okay, I'll have this induction to do, let me do it. And it goes really, really well. I'm really, really enthusiastic. And then it's more, and then it just makes my day. I mean, like, this is the drive and passion that I can take from this meeting and give to others, which I don't think an office job would ever give me.
Yeah, I mean, as I said, for some people that might be their passion, and then that would be perfect. But I think what you're saying about us being very people orientated is definitely a key. And like yourself, when I start working, I mean, I love it when I continue working with someone too. But there is something very special about those first few meetings with a new person. And for myself, often the person I'm meeting, let's take a child as an example, will have struggled with reading, spelling, writing for so long that they might be a bit anxious and a bit nervous. And there is something super special about seeing in that first session with them, in the first time we work, about seeing them start a transformation, start to open up, start to relax, start to understand more about their brilliant brain and realize that there's a way forward. And as you say, that energy, that positivity, it carries you, doesn't it, through.
Yeah, definitely.
My favorite days are definitely when I'm working with people.
Hmm.
I've got 5 or 6 sessions lined up. That's brilliant. I wake up full of bounce, ready for that.
Like that is like yeah, and like some people don't understand about the passion that you get from doing stuff like that because some people they have like really mundane jobs and it's it's crazy. It's like posting on LinkedIn. It's like a lot of people on LinkedIn are really, really, really passionate. And you get this. I feel like LinkedIn is such a lovely place. It's full of positivity. It's full of breaking down barriers, sharing your experiences and stuff like that. Yeah, and it's great. I'm
Yeah.
addicted. I've got to say, I'm addicted.
It's certainly a good platform. I've met some lovely people I've connected with through LinkedIn. I feel like I found my tribe in a way. The neurodivergent tribe on LinkedIn is fantastic, and quite often I'll find people who've posted something that really grabs my attention and taps into what I'm about, which is very much trying to help people to unlock their potential. Because wow, the intelligence is astounding with the people I work with, truly. So I'll often contact people and just say, wow, I saw your post. I'm really interested in your work. Because the other thing is, I'm really intrigued by people that are using outside the box solutions, which is as you know, what I'm doing with dyslexia. So to be able to sort of bring those people together in a network where we can all share our ideas and solutions and talk to each other and support each other, that's been wonderful on LinkedIn. I think it's been fantastic for that.
Definitely. And it's like like I feel like LinkedIn people are there to collaborate. They're there to
Yes.
share their ideas, to find people with similar interests, and if not, like discover new interests. And that's amazing about it. And you mentioned briefly about your dyslexia, the work that you do with dyslexia. Can you share with us a brief overview of your journey in the field of dyslexia, education, and technology?
Okay, I will keep it as brief as possible. It's been quite
It doesn't have to be brief.
so it's been quite good. So do you want to, if I start with a bit of my background and how I ended up
Yeah.
where what I'm doing today? I started my working career, if you like, as a primary school teacher. My parents were both teachers. It was something I really wanted to do, and I absolutely loved it. So I was a primary teacher for getting on for 20 years and loved the classroom, loved the children. We had so much fun. However, as time went by, I realised that every year there seemed to be two or three children in my class who were bright, they were creative, articulate. You know, if I taught them about something, they could tell me all about it, they could explain things. However, when it came to reading or writing, there was like a barrier stopping them. They just couldn't make sense of how words work. And it actually got to the point where it was painful for me. I couldn't I couldn't help them with the best will in the world, even if I could give them additional time, which isn't easy being a class teacher. You know, it's very high demand on your time. But I didn't have a way of helping them. They were getting extra lessons, phonics, small groups instruction, and things like that. And some of them one-to-one support, but it just wasn't moving them forward. It was like some of them would do something and then it was like they'd forgotten the next day. So as time went on, this became more of an issue for me. It bothered me. It really bothered me that I couldn't help these people. And I noticed a lot of the children losing their self-esteem and their self-confidence, starting to call themselves stupid. Some of them were actually headed for depression. I have worked with 8-year-olds who are depressed. And I just decided that couldn't carry on. So I took the plunge, slightly terrified, but I left full-time teaching and all the job security that had with it. And at the time, some of my friends were studying neuro-linguistic programming, NLP, which fascinated me totally. I read all their books when everyone went to visit, and I decided, okay, is it possible that NLP could have some answers for dyslexia?
Mhm.
I then went to study NLP across quite a few months. And it turned out, yes, it did. Combining the two, the knowledge I gained from neurolinguistic programming, together with my knowledge of teaching, and together with a curiosity and a real passion for trying to work out what's happening for individuals, I was able to put together a process that just works for people who have dyslexia. So eventually I stopped teaching. I sort of combined some supply teaching and working with people, applying my new ideas and processes for a while until I came to the point where I could give up class teaching. Did some training along the way and moved into just working in the way I work now to make magic happen for people who struggle with reading and writing.
That's absolutely wonderful.
Thank you.
It's a lot of people, like, there's like I'm not blaming them, but there's a lot of people that will be like, okay, I've identified this struggle, and they'll be like, they will do nothing about it, or they will do things. I need to careful how I phrase this. Um, they will do things, they will identify a problem and not try and solve the problem. It doesn't have to be in a bigger group, it's just like in their classrooms, in smaller settings. And you just went out and done like an amazing amount of work and went and did neuro linguistic in your masters and trying to you did a lot of amazing work. I don't know how to phrase this.
Oh,
Um,
bless. That's really kind of you to say that. I almost didn't have a choice.
mm,
I don't know that I ever, it's going to sound really weird. I don't know if I ever really chose it. I feel like I was given it as it was kind of, I always feel it. I'm very lucky that I was given, I don't want to call it, well, it is a gift because I enjoy it so much and I love it. I was given the ability to go and explore and find a solution. So I'm very grateful for that. I'm also, was very fortunate in terms that I had a very supportive partner who didn't mind the fact that suddenly we were very much worse off financially, and backed me up to do it. And I loved doing it. So those are all the positives. Yeah, it was quite scary, and there have been times I felt like giving up because, to be honest, it's still a big job to get the word out there. People are very resistant to change, and people are often can be stuck in their ways. That's just the human condition. We're programmed to be like that, right? It's survival. We're programmed to fear change because, going back, I don't know, my history's not great, but going back to caveman times or whatever, if you ate a berry no one had tried before, that might be the end of you. So, change is not always good. So I do come up against resistance with people saying, well, that all sounds crazy. We've never heard of that. That can't help dyslexia. Working with the subconscious or neuro-linguistic programming can't possibly do what you're saying it can do. That's sort of snake oil, someone called it once. So the difficulty is in when you're trailblazing, I guess, when you're coming up with a creative new idea. The difficulty is that period where people are wary about believing you and adopting the new ideas. That's the tricky bit, to be honest. That's the point at which I could have gone, no, this is too hard, and still can be.
how
But
do you deal with people not believing in your ideas?
well, that's the tough bit. That's the really tough bit. If anything was going to stop me, that was it. And there have been times when I've just got totally downhearted about it because I know how amazing it is. And I know how easy it is to teach other people to do it, which is the ultimate aim, to share what I've got so we can help more and more people, because it seriously is a game changer. I just keep picking myself up and getting on with it. I guess I must be quite resilient, which again, I'm grateful for. But also, as I said, I almost feel I don't have a choice. I've got to do it. I've got to leave this knowledge behind for more people to be able to get the help they need. It's just important. It's super important to me. I see the transformation. I see children and adults, but I see children going from no self-esteem, no self-confidence, thinking they're stupid, saying that they will never be able to read, and it literally is weeks. In a few weeks, they're saying, "Oh, I can do this. I've got the hang of this," and they're reading, and I've got parents just saying to me, "It's like magic." Well, it isn't magic. It's our amazing brains. But, I can't leave that behind. So, yeah, how do I keep going is just because I believe in this. I know it works. I guess that's the bottom line.
Absolutely wonderful. Um, how have you seen the landscape of dyslexia and dyslexia education and technology evolve over the years?
That's a really good question. Well, let me try and technology wise, I'm not so clued up, to be honest. I know there's a lot of new technology coming out. I know there's a lot of assistive technology with readers. I know I've had children that, when I was teaching, who had those scanning pens. I know now there's voice to text type things. I work with a brilliant lady who I had a session with yesterday, because I work with adults as well as children. It's never too late. It's never too late. Our brains are so brilliant. They're adaptable all through our life. And I wish I could remember the name of the program. She had a program which put certain parts of text in bold.
Mm.
And I haven't worked out how it works yet, but that made it easier for her to read it. Parts of the words sort of popped out at her. And I'm
Is it
sorry, I'll tell you the name.
is it when it bolds some parts of the word?
Yeah.
Oh,
She said
um,
that really helps her.
it's used me a lot of people with ADHD.
She has ADHD as well, so that might be
Yeah.
partly what's working for her.
Oh, it's called. I have that on my laptop. Um, oh,
Maybe we'll. Oh, are you looking up?
yeah, I can't just.
No, I know it's like a worm in your head, right? I've got to.
Um,
Did it begin with a B? I don't know. Maybe it'll come to us.
oh, so helpful. I had the bionic.
Bionic reader. That's it. You're right. Bionic reader. So I've seen that. Um, I don't, but I must admit the whole tech side of it is not my bag. I'm not great with tech. I mean, I'm amazed. I work over Zoom, which is great because it means I can have clients worldwide, but I'm not really up to date with the tech, to be honest. As far as the education goes, I don't think it's changed much at all. I'll be honest, when I look at what's going on in schools, and I'm not knocking these things. These are all these things that are happening in schools. They are important and they are useful. What I do isn't I'm not saying everyone else is wrong and what I've got is right. I'm saying what I've got is a game changer and then the rest of it works even better. Okay, just to clarify that, because I'm not knocking what's going on.
Mm.
But when I think about what's happening with children in schools and other settings, nothing has changed very much for a very long time. I don't think. I know there's the whole debate about children learning from just being immersed in reading and that the phonics and understanding of words would come naturally versus explicit phonics instruction. That's a whole other debate. I do think we need to make sense of how words work, how phonics works for people. But what I see in education is the children that are struggling, maybe they're getting support, they're going out to small groups, but what's happening is people are still trying to put information into their heads. Now, if we try and put information into a child's brain, but their brain is not able to process that information, it doesn't make any difference how many times we tell them the same thing. If they don't get it, they're not going to get it 10 times later. It's like we're trying to stuff information into their heads, but their brains, and they're brilliant brains, there's nothing wrong with their brains, just to clarify, Their brains aren't in a state to receive that specific information. So I don't think we're looking at the whole child enough when it comes to education, if that makes sense. I'm not sure I explained it very well.
It's
So,
not bespoke enough.
sorry, say that again.
It's not bespoke enough.
Yeah, definitely. I definitely, one size doesn't fit all. Absolutely. But also we're still teaching children, TH says ch says ch and phonics, and trying to get them to put words together, which, as I said, is mega important, has to be done. But if I can just explain a little bit of what I come across and how I work, it'd probably make it easier for me to answer this question. So when a child comes to me, or an adult, okay, people say to me, what you do is like magic. It's not magic, all right, obviously. The magic is in our brain's neuroplasticity, our brain's ability to adapt and learn new things. Now, when somebody comes to me, the first thing I do, my superpower, if you like, is to get super curious about what is actually happened for that person, for that individual, when they look at words on a page. Now, every single person I have ever worked with in 15 years of doing this, their brilliant brains, when they try and make sense of words on a page, sometimes they can read, but they can't remember what they've read. That's another thing. Their brilliant brains, when they're trying to make sense of the information, there's something blocking the flow of information. There's an obstacle, if you like. Now, everybody's experience is totally different. There, as you said, there is no size fits all, no one size fits all. So I'm going to give you an example, but I'm not saying that's how it is for everybody. So one example could be that when someone looks at the words on the page, it's like little ants crawling over the page, it moves. Okay. Now, and that, by the way, isn't from the eyes. I'm not an expert on anything to do with the eyes, but everybody I've ever worked with, the issue is caused by the way their brain is perceiving the text, not a visual issue. I'd always recommend people get their eyes checked first. Okay, that's important. So if their brilliant brain, and I have my theories on why, which I'll come back to later if you like, if their brilliant brain is looking at the letters and the letters are moving, what I do next is retrain their brain so that the letters stay still. That obstacle is gone. Okay, now that's the game changer. Because once we've cleared the obstacle, if you like, once we've found out what their brilliant brain is doing that's making it almost impossible to easily and effortlessly make sense of words on a page, it's just easy after that for them to make sense of how words work for them. Or we might find the obstacle is that they can read the words, but their brain's got like this force field that isn't letting the words in. So we get rid of that. So the brain will allow the information into the brain. Then I can pop my teacher hat on. And then we go back to this, how do words work? Sound, symbol correlation, phonics, which letters make which sounds. Suddenly it all makes sense. But it didn't before, because it wasn't that they wouldn't learn. I don't believe, that's a whole other thing. I don't believe in lazy or naughty children. That's not a thing. Okay. Everybody, if somebody isn't learning, it's because they can't learn in the way we're trying to teach them, or something is stopping them. We have to get curious about every individual. So going back to your question about how it's changed in education, I don't think we've considered A, the individual, or B, what we know about the brain anymore. And I think the difference is we need to Look at what is stopping the information making sense, what's going on in the subconscious, what is happening for this person when they actually look at words on a page. And that's the game changer. So I think we need to move on. I think we need to get some new ways of dealing with it. And then the old ways work brilliantly.
Definitely. You said that you had some theories. What are the theories?
Okay, all right. Bear with me. I just need to flick. There we go. Switch on my laptop on because I plugged it in, but I hadn't switched it on, which is quite typical me. There we go. Okay, this is my own theory. All right. I know that the people that come to me who struggle to read or write or spell or one of each, or there's different combinations, I know they are some of the most intelligent and creative humans walking around. Okay. There is no doubt in my mind, these people are so bright and creative and intelligent, which is why it's heartbreaking when I hear them, saying they're thick or other people perceive them in that way. It's just wrong, so wrong. Now, so the question I ask myself is why do these intelligent, creative people seem to be the ones struggling with dyslexia or undiagnosed dyslexia? So here goes. This is the theory I've come up with. When we start learning at school to read or to make sense of spelling, we are taught in a way that isn't actually true. So I'll give you an example. In a word, we get taught, or we could get taught that OU says ow. So you're in your little phonics group and we all learn ow. OU says ow. Okay, so we do the words about, shout, etc. Roll on however long forward, the next afternoon, the next hour, the next day, and the child that's been in that class and diligently followed the teacher. Okay, OU says ow. They've recorded that. They come across the word pour, P-O-U-R. So they go per hour, because that's what it is, right? According to the rules. And they get told, oh, no, that's not right. Hang on, I followed the rules. It didn't work. Okay, so imagine this happens more than once, and in English it will. Because English breaks the rules, you learn the rule, it breaks the rules, or there's so many discrepancies in the English language, okay, for how the words go together. There are rules, but there's many of them, and sometimes they're broken. So this child has been told, no, that's wrong, even though they followed the rules. Then maybe the word water comes up. Well, in water, A says, well, or, it says or, it doesn't say A at all. So they've read it as water. No, that's wrong. Well, hang on, that letter says a, doesn't it? If a child follows the rules enough times and following the rules doesn't work, what does someone who's creative and intelligent do if something isn't working? They do something different, right? That's what an intelligent, creative brain does. It goes, hang on a minute, I keep doing this and that doesn't work. So I'm going to do something else. Now, I'm giving the subconscious brain a voice here. This isn't something we do in our logical brain. This happens subconsciously in a creative, intelligent brain. And the subconscious is what runs most of our deep thinking and deep thought and patterns that we're not aware of. So this intelligent, creative brain, which has followed the rules which don't work, has done what any sensible, logical person would do. And it's gone, okay, let's try something different. And that's the point at which the brain can go, oh, let's move stuff around because that might work. Let's blur it, that might work. Let's not let the information into our head because it doesn't make sense anyway. Now, I believe that's where the problem comes from, this intelligent person following the rules, doing what they're told, and not working, and then trying something else. So that's my theory. What I do is find out what that non-useful new way of dealing with text is, and then help them put it back to a useful way of dealing with it. Thank you for asking that question, because I really believe that. that's why all the people I work with are so blooming clever. I think it's quite, you know, hopefully empowering for people to hear it, because I hate them thinking they're silly.
What are some of the biggest challenges you've encountered in your work, and how do you address them?
Um, Another good question. Well, I think, as I touched on earlier, the biggest challenge currently is getting my voice heard. It's having that credibility, I suppose, for people to take on board that there is another way, for people to believe that something new can actually work. That's the tricky bit. And I understand why it's difficult. As I said earlier, we are wired to fear change. That is normal. Okay. It's a survival instinct for humans. So I do get that. I also understand a lot of people often ask me for my, have you got research on this? Have you got peer-reviewed data? And I get that as well, because it's really good to have evidence. I'm one person on my own. I don't have the funding or the wherewithal to be able to do trials and research. My evidence is 15 years of great results. And a whole many people who have had their learning unlocked, which is why I call my business Unlock Learning, by this very simple process. That's my evidence. Yeah, it's finding a voice. It's getting, it's like, I need to get the ball rolling, and I am slowly, but the ball, it's quite hard to push it forward right now. So as I said before as well, I'm not going to give up, because there's just no way I can give up. It's too important. So that's a challenge. As far as working with clients, I kind of like it when there's a challenge. So I always say to people, often parents or adults because as I said before, I work with adults too. And actually, there's a great scheme for people to get funding at the moment, which maybe if you want to come back to, because it's good to let people know about that. But when people come to me, they often say, how long will this take? Now, I can't answer that question. For a really straightforward, textbook client, if you like, then it's simple. It can be quite quick. So we can sort of unlock that learning and get the pathways in the brain unblocked and the information easily accessible to the person within an hour or two. However, it's also brilliant, and I love it when I get somebody who doesn't follow the rules, if there are any rules, of what I've done before. So even after 15 years, sometimes I get what I call a curveball. So I'll go through my normal processes and questions and ways I might work, and trying this and trying that. And I still can't help this person make the progress that I would have expected to see. But rather than seeing that as a difficulty or I can't do that, I give up, that's when the creative part kicks in. And that's when I'm like, right, this is where the fun starts. This is where I'm going to learn something new. So this person, it could take me 10 weeks to help their brain make sense of letters and words. So that can be difficult and challenging, but I love it because I always learn something new. I love having to get so curious about somebody because it's not obvious how I can help them. So although that can be challenging and it can actually keep me awake at night, I have been known to wake up at 3 o'clock in the morning thinking, what am I going to do for so-and-so? I don't know what to try next. But something always comes. There's always a way. It's as long as the parent or the adult is prepared to trust me and let me keep going, I will find a way. And generally, I have to say they're very good, and they do. So that can be challenging, but I enjoy that challenge. The other challenge I have is just running my own business and keeping on top of the business side of it. Yeah, that's tricky.
Must be difficult. It's like it's hard to find the balance sometimes because when you're more passionate about one thing and you're like, I don't want to neglect the other part because the other part is important, but I'm like, mm,
Yeah, absolutely. I don't enjoy I call them the boring parts. Yeah, even things like invoicing, which should be fun, right? That should be really good fun. Oh, no, no, it's not people centered enough. Paperwork and things like that, it just isn't my bag really. But as you say, you have to do it. It's important. And when you're a one woman team, one minute you've got your accounts hat on, and then your copywriting for your posts, and then your tech. That's the bit I really can struggle with the tech side of it, updating a web page or creating a sign up form for a workshop or something like that. And then you've got then comes the fun and the easy bit, which is, yay, now I get to work with somebody and actually do the bit that flows for me. But yeah, when you're forever changing hats as well, I can find that quite challenging.
mm, yeah, definitely. And it's like sometimes like with my ADHD and autism, I can get hyperfixated on one part. And I'm like, I don't want to do that other part. And then all I get, even I feel like even if you have a team of people, it's you can't. There's certain things that you can't allocate,
Right.
and that comes with its own struggles as well. And it's like, oh,
So
like
is it all right for me to ask you a quick question? Because I'm
yeah,
curious here. Because I haven't really had the luxury of a team. I'm looking forward to that in the future. Which bits are hard to allocate? Is it because you feel really invested and you just you want to do it in your own way? Or is it specific
it's
tasks?
not, it's not always like that. Like sometimes you're like, oh my God, I'm looking forward to this. After this, I'm gonna do this, and it's exciting. But like certain forms, like registrations and stuff like that, you can get like a company secretary to do it. But there's certain questions where you're like, if I get somebody else to do it, then there's a whole GDPR, and like GDPR becomes a bigger thing. You
Yeah,
can't share certain things. Sometimes it's between me and you,
got you.
and then I mean between me and you, and then I can't bring a third person into it. Or
Yeah.
when you have a team of people, but you don't have one thing, if you're going to get a team of people, make sure you have project managers, or else
Yeah.
you're going to end up managing that. And that's a whole other workload that you're going to get on that, is
Mm,
absolutely stressful.
yeah, I
Like,
can imagine.
yeah, because it becomes your workload as well. And you want to invest time and into this project, but you can't do that. And I feel like when you're starting up, like there's so many like positions, it's some people get like, they'll be quite upset about it. But it's a reality. Like when you're starting up, or even if you started up and you're still in like a small organization phase or even medium, sometimes volunteers are great. Some people are willing to volunteer their time to do like company secretary stuff, accounting, utilize
Yeah.
that. Ah,
Yeah. I have been fortunate. I've been really fortunate because along the way, especially a year or two ago when I actually got my first I don't even know what you call it, system where it captures my email list leads and my website runs through it. I don't even know what you call those packages. But I mean, setting that up and understanding it to me was like learning a foreign language. And I had a very lovely friend who just wanted to help. And to begin with, she sort of, did my broadcast emails for me and sort of helped me to understand how it all worked a bit to the point where I can manage it now. So I have, as you sort of saying about volunteers, I have been fortunate in people
yeah.
wanting to help because they could see, the value in what I'm doing. So
Yeah.
that was great. So yeah, volunteers can be amazing.
Yeah, and it's great because and like lots of people, like, outside people who are not parts of organization, they don't understand that volunteers is all you can do. And there's some people that are willing to volunteer their time to do such complex tasks, like let's just say accounting. I don't have an accountant, but if right now, if I were to get an accountant, it probably has to be a volunteer because of finances and stuff like that. But people would be like, oh, why didn't you pay them? You'll abuse it. But like, there's some people that are willing to volunteer and have passion for
Yeah.
your mission. So they're willing to volunteer. And it's not like abusing them. Like,
No.
like some people think I'm asking people's work like 40-hour weeks. And I'm like, okay, so I know you're volunteering, but I need you to come in and do 50 hours this week and maybe like 30 hours next week. No, it's like probably 8 to 10 hours.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I actually had trouble I wanted to pay my friend, um, and she wouldn't send me an invoice. Um, I just couldn't get her I think I managed to pay her a couple of times, and then the amount she asked for was ridiculous. But she actually said, I just want to help because this is so important. And
I bet you say you're a ridiculous invoice, so like steers your way.
sorry, I didn't quite catch that.
Like she seemed like she sent you a ridiculous invoice to just steer you away. Like we're not having this conversation again.
Yeah, it was. It was so low. It was just crazy. I mean, there was no way it was sensible. Um, yeah, absolutely right. And I remember her saying to me, "I just want to help you,"
Mm.
And I think sometimes we're not so good at receiving, are we? And I do notice in people with a passion and people who are people centered, often we're really, really good at giving. We're
Oh,
brilliant at giving. We'll give our time, we'll give our energy, we'll do all that. And yet there's something in us that stops us receiving help or whatever it is. And I don't know why. I don't know if it's a particularly cultural thing, or I don't know. I don't know if you've got any insights into that, but I think sometimes we need to get better at going, actually, I really appreciate that help. Thank you very much. And just like being grateful for it.
I'm such a giving person. Like I would send someone £50 to help them out.
Mhm.
Who like if that £50 was meant for my food shop or something like that, I'm like I don't even think about it. Like you need £50, here's the £50. And they're like, well, or they'll be like, well, no, give me your bank like details to send it back. And I'm like, I'll literally throw myself off a roof if you keep talking about it. That seems more like they're like I'm like something like track records help. Like I will like and just like I'll be like, no, don't do that or I'll kidnap your cat. Like,
Worst threat ever.
yeah, I did that to someone the other day and they're like, no. So like that's the thing. And then you don't know like when you're such a giving person, also it's like limits. Like you can't give so much.
Yeah, that's a really important one.
And I struggle with it till this day. I've gotten better. Like there's somebody that like I would give money if somebody's in like needs food, I would give you money. But at the same time, I'm like,
We do
I
need limits.
go with the limits. Sorry?
We do need limits. We definitely need limits. Um, I've found that with my work as well, that I've probably in the past have a tendency to over deliver, because I just want the best result for everybody, because I just want those children to like going to school, to have a joy of reading. And I know it can happen. I know it can happen. It does happen. So, I might spend 2 hours making a specific resource for that person for a half an hour lesson. Well, that's, 2.5 hours time, not half an hour. That I think there's a balance. There really is a balance. And I think as you say, it can be really hard to find that.
Especially when
Really.
you're a perfectionist. Like, and you're like, and I feel like some people, like, if you're working for a bigger organization, they don't understand, well, certain things take more time. And even if it was let's just say it's a 3-hour task. Well, with a neurodivergent brain, it might take 6, 7 hours.
Absolutely.
But doesn't mean that I don't deserve to be compensated for 7 hours.
Yeah, that's a really good point, actually. That's something I'm trying to get across to people at the moment. I'm really
Mm.
glad you said that because it reminded me. I am sort of trying to get the word out there a little bit that there is some funding available called Access to Work. I don't know if you've heard of Access to
I'm on
Work.
it.
Brilliant. It's brilliant. Okay. It's absolutely brilliant. And I'm surprised at the number of people, adults, because it's for working adults, just not a clever name, um, who are really struggling because of their dyslexia at work, but they keep it complete. Well, it's not really surprising. There's still, I think, unfortunately, a stigma around it, and people are embarrassed by it, and people are masking the fact that, as you said, a task because of their dyslexia, what might be allocated or expected to take 1 hour could take them 4 or 5 hours. And they are putting in so much time and effort just to get through their daily job. And they're exhausted. And their work life balance is gone. And then they're probably dealing with, oh, I don't know how some of them are carrying on. And I've had some conversations with people who are brilliant at their jobs, but they are in serious danger of burnout.
Yeah.
So it's it's not that they're not trying or putting the time in, but as we spoke about before, if every time you look at a page of, just with the dyslexia example, because it's available for ADHD and you know all about it, other neurodivergences as well as physical disability. But if you're trying to read a page of text, and it's, as the one lady described to me the other day, it's like ants crawling over sugar hills and rivers running down the page. That's exhausting. It's almost impossible. And, you've got to read it 10 times to take in what you've read. That's exhausting, frustrating, and difficult. And yet you've still got to complete the task for work. So,
It's your other task as well.
exactly, you don't get less to do. So you just spend your entire time trying to compensate. One lady, I'm actually helping people with the application forms for
Mm.
this, because even the application forms could take someone hours to do it. It's not designed to take that long, but if you put dyslexia or even undiagnosed dyslexia into the pot, then it can be a mammoth task that you haven't got time to do on top of everything
Mm.
else. So, yeah, it's really important that people appreciate that without the differences in the way our brains work, things can take so much longer and be so much harder for people. So, yeah, I think this access to work option is brilliant because it's actually saying, right, we will give you some funding for the support and help you need to make it easier for you to do your job without burning out, without getting unwell and stressed.
But the paperwork will burn you out. Sorry.
Well, this is the thing. So that's why you're right. So this is what I'm saying to people. I'm off, and this is the thing again about limits and trying not to give too much, but wanting to do your best for people. I'm actually saying to people, look, come and have a Zoom chat with me. I will do the application form for you online while we're together. I'll help you. We'll talk it through. We'll find out exactly what you need, maybe over 2 or 3 sessions. And this isn't, I just do this as a gift. We'll get your application in for you, and then you can get funding, because I've had a few people get this. You can get funding. You won't have to pay to get my help. But that application form's a barrier in itself. So it's an insane that you have to fill in an application form to get help with dyslexia. But there it is.
Yeah,
So,
and sometimes it's like another thing is those like people that are assessors, they're usually the people that receive and be like, okay, we're gonna put you on this next stage. They're usually very uneducated about additional needs and disabilities,
right.
and they'll be like, well, you filled out this whole form by yourself. What do you need help with?
That's a really good point, and I think then that's a good tip for anybody, isn't it? If because you fill the form in, which, as I said, I will do with someone, whether or not they go on to work with me, it doesn't matter, because that's just important that gateway is open for them. And then really, you're right, they need to know when they get the phone call from the assessor, they need to say, I need you to know that I had to have help to fill in this form. That's a really good point.
Yeah, make sure you even PIP, it's like they will try and question. I've never had this experience, but I've heard about other people that have had this experience of where they're like, well, what medication did you have today? And let's just say you struggle with ADHD. And then they'll be like, well, I've had like let's say my medication, I'll answer with my medication. So I had 150 milligrams of sertraline in the morning. I had this in the morning. Well, you're fine, your memory's fine. And I'm like, well, but I've had it for the last 3, 4 years. You don't
Mhm.
remember it at this point. It signifies bigger challenges.
Sure. Yeah, I
So you have
don't, sorry,
so if
carry
they're asking you questions like that, make sure you say, can you repeat what I said? Oh, it's on the form. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it's good. It's funny, isn't it? We almost need to learn a new way of, ah, I don't know what I'm trying to say, a new way of expressing what's needed.
Mm.
Um, you know, and that was a brilliant example about, having to tell people that you needed help with the form. Um, I think luckily the conversation is opening up.
Mm.
Thank goodness, finally. When I first started teaching, we did have the odd child who was diagnosed ADHD, but it was very, very rare. The diagnosis of dyslexia and, well, of anything really, was very, very rare. And I think the understanding around it was absolutely minimal. Children were far more likely to be seen as disruptive and lazy or naughty. And as I've said, that just isn't something that exists in my head. Um, you know, Children specifically are people pleasers. Most children just want to be praised and supported and make adults happy. If they're not, sorry, I've got a bit of a tangent here, but if they're not doing it, then that's you've got to ask yourself why, really, what's going on, and address that issue. But I think now we're a bit more aware of that, which is a good thing. I think adults still struggle, though. I think adults are still masking very much, not letting people at work know what their struggle is, trying to cover up, trying to keep it quiet, not talking to people about how stressful that can be. So that'd be good if we almost need a way to open those conversations up, I think.
Mm. And I think that's a massive challenge. And it's not laziness as well. Like a lot of people be like, it's laziness. I genuinely believe a child cannot be lazy. They just don't know how to do it yet. They have not been equipped with the tools
Yeah.
to do a task. Like you can't expect a child to cook a 5 course meal. So why would you expect them to automatically be able to learn how to conform in an environment that is they've been thrown into? Because like all of a sudden, year one, year two, year three, year four, nursery reception, year five, great, lovely, quite laid back. Even though you have SATs and 11 plus. Year seven, you come in and there's complete. I mean, year six, you come in, complete
Yeah.
change of attitude, and you have to adapt to that.
Absolutely. You're spot on. It's a massive change. And even from like year one, year two to, for the infants, as we used to call it, key stage one to key stage two, is a massive change because they're so play based, and then suddenly they're not. Because all of a sudden we're already headed towards those SATs and exam results, and oh, don't get me started on those. But anyway, that's a whole other thing. But there's a massive shift. And the other thing is, I'm just thinking back to children I'm working with and have worked with recently, and a common occurrence is that they are kept in at breaks because they're not finishing their work. Now, a lot of people I work with, dyslexia is sort of my focus, but very, very, I say over 50% have ADHD and potentially ASD as well. Now, if you keep a child in because they're not finishing their work, it tells you two things. Not that they won't do it, but they can't do it. There is something preventing them from doing the work. It's taking them a long time because something isn't easy for them. Do you know what I mean? I remember in the old days, they say, well, if you didn't stare out the window so much, then you'd get your work done. But there's a reason the child is doing that.
Mm.
So to have a child kept in, especially if they've got ADHD as well, I mean, it's
You're
just
asking for them to get.
insane. Yeah. They need to be out. They need to be moving. They need the fresh air. They need the play. They need the movement. They need the breaks. I mean, probably they've taken every ounce of their strength to sit in that classroom for 45 minutes or whatever it is anyway. So yeah, it's super, super important that they are able to express themselves and move around and get their brain reset and whatever they need to do, because of course everyone's so different. Definitely. But yeah, children are not lazy. They're just not. I'm sorry. I've never come across a lazy child.
Like they're mischievous, but they don't. I feel like there's no such thing as a badly behaved child.
Mm-hmm.
It's like everybody's mischievous. And don't tell me that you haven't done it as a child. Or you don't know someone who's done it as a child. Like, and it's so frustrating when they say children are violent. That's what another thing. Oh my God, I went on a whole rant on LinkedIn about this. Children are not violent. They're not born into this world of violent. This
Mm-hmm.
is something they're seeing, whether it's in their home environment or outside in the other, like, in their social environment.
Yeah. Yeah, quite possible. Yeah, I can see that. And also, I think it's children don't always have the vocabulary and the ability to express their emotions in words. So for some children, not just children, adults too, I guess. But certainly I'm more experienced with the child side of it. If a child is lashing out, if they are air quote violent, they're trying to articulate something that they don't have the words for and they can't regulate themselves. So they probably feel absolutely awful. I can remember teaching kids when I was a class teacher, and they'd dump somebody on the playground and then they'd come in and they'd be utterly distraught at what they'd done. They couldn't regulate their behavior. There was a switch and they just hadn't got the strategies to cope. And of course, other children may have wound them up as well. You often find the child in trouble is not the one that caused it in the first place. They're just the easy targets and the ones that get wound up. Or they're so frustrated from spending a morning in a classroom where they can't read it and they can't write, and all the other kids seem to get it. And that emotion and that frustration is bubbling up within them. So they've got so much going on. There's so many reasons why a child can lash out. But yeah, inherently, there's issues that need to be addressed at the core of that child. They're not choosing to be violent, Absolutely. And I think we always need to go back. We must go back to what is happening for this child. And then, of course, there can be all kinds of stories and reasons and historical things that have happened and whatever else. But we have to come back to asking why, not just they're lazy, they're naughty, they're violent. I totally agree with you. And can I just give you an example of, again, relating back to sort of children that are struggling with reading and writing. It was just a comment a mother said to me last week. What had happened for the child was he was getting into trouble all the time. He was just 6, coming up 7, and he was getting into trouble all the time because he would be asked to write something, and he would either scribble and then screw up the paper, throw it in the bin, throw it across the classroom, tear the paper up. And he was getting into all kinds of trouble for it. So Mum was very upset. He's clearly, this is one of the most intelligent children I've ever worked with. Blows my mind every time. He's wonderful. Anyway, it turned out no surprise that his brain was unable to process the words on the page. I can't remember what was going on for him exactly. We did the work so that the letters and everything stayed still and stable on the page. And he is writing quite happily. He is reading, he is writing. He could read. That's why the school thought he was being naughty. They assumed because he could read, he should be able to write. That's not how it works. But he literally couldn't make sense of how words work to write them down. Now he's writing. He loves writing. English is his favourite subject. And his mum said to me, it never made sense why he was being naughty at school. The school said he was really naughty. And to me, that didn't sound like my son. And thankfully, she's lovely. Of course, honestly, the families I work with are amazing. But she was brave enough to try something new to come to me. And thank goodness she did, because I don't know what might have happened to this super intelligent, lovely child otherwise. But that's an example of he was never being naughty. He was desperate. He couldn't do it. It was frustrating. It was overwhelming. So it was coming out as disruptive behaviour, I guess.
Like, what is the what would you say or advise what advice would you give to educators, parents, and individuals with dyslexia, who are navigating the challenges associated with learning differences?
Okay, so the first thing is to know that there is absolutely nothing wrong with your brain. Okay, because I know how debilitating that lack of self-esteem and confidence and people thinking they're stupid can be. So my first piece of advice, and it's really hard and it's not something you can just flick with a switch, I understand that, is if you can possibly hear it and absorb the information, your brain is brilliant. There is nothing wrong with your brain. So what you need to do is find the right person to help you in what you need to do. So for some people I speak to, they're dyslexic and they struggle with reading or writing, but they found their niche and they're absolutely brilliant at their jobs. And honestly, they're not, for them, there's no, this is going to sound crazy as someone running a business, but for them, the most important thing probably isn't to come and see me and be able to read and write more easily. But they might still have underlying self-esteem issues or whatever, and they might be well served to go and see somebody who can help with that side of it. So some kind of, I don't know, I'm not saying everyone needs therapy or counselling. On the other hand, if you're somebody who is, oh, and by the way, I'm not saying everybody with dyslexia has low self-esteem either. I'm really not trying to pigeonhole, just in case that came out wrong. Some people don't need any help at all. They've just made the most brilliant jobs of it. On the other hand, if you've got somebody whose work involves some element of reading or writing, and that can happen in all kinds of industries, I was speaking to a lady who's a trainee bus driver the other day, and dyslexia causes havoc for her. She's really exhausted by it in her job. Then there is help out there. Again, see what suits you. Obviously, I'm going to advise people to come to see me because I believe I have a really effective solution. But people should be curious for themselves as well. So try different things, and if one thing doesn't work for you, don't give up. Try something else, because you will find something that works for you. You really will. And there's horses for courses, if you like. Mm-hmm. Do you know what I mean? Just because it works for one person brilliantly doesn't mean it, or works for one person's child doesn't mean it will necessarily work for another child. Although I have to say, I haven't really found people I can't help. So there's always, that can always change, just, obviously. So yeah, be curious about what's going to work for you, and don't try one thing and give up. There's a whole variety of things on offer, and talk to people. Don't be ashamed of it. Talk to people, be honest with people. Definitely, because I'm going to say it again, there is nothing wrong with your brilliant brain. Being different doesn't make you wrong. In fact, we need all types of brains, and we need all types of outlooks on life to make our society function. It's people, the creative outside the box thinkers. You're the people who are going to solve the problems of what we do with this planet we're messing up, really. You know, we need different skills. We need different types of brains. So think what you need to make your life easier, and find the help you need, and talk to people. I think that's my advice.
Amazing. As we, are near to the end of our discussion, what key takeaways would you like our listeners to remember?
Oh, okay. Let's think. So I'm trying to think this has been such a really great, interesting conversation. Thank you. I'm trying to remember what we've covered quite a lot, I think. I think firstly, just key takeaways for me is, oh, now I'm hesitating. I'm going to go back to, can I sort of categorize in different parts?
Yeah, go for
it. To sum up, what I'm doing is different to what you might have come across before. I believe that people with dyslexia or ADHD, combinations of, are super intelligent people, and that the way we teach has made it very difficult for you to maybe get to grips with reading and writing. So I start at the root cause of the problem, if you like. So rather than trying to push information into somebody's head, I think it's really important that first we address what's happening for them when they try and read or write. Find out what their brilliant brains are doing. And that's what I do. That's what my clients call the magic part of how I work. To really treat everyone as an individual, and make sure that their brain is able to receive the information in a way that makes it easy and hopefully quite effortless soon for them to read and write. So that's the key thing, is dealing with the way the brain is processing the text. And then we can teach, then we can do the phonics and the more well-known methods, if you like, the more conventional methods of helping people. So that's the first thing. Go back to the brain, look at how it's functioning.
So crazy, because a lot of people don't like, it's like when you have a bump, right, and you're getting it removed, and you don't just assume that it's cancer and just start chemotherapy unnecessarily. They would do, whatever they do and find out whether it's a tumor or just some benign thing. So why would you do that when it's something to do with the brain?
That's a really good way of putting it. Absolutely right. We've got to find the cure. Yeah. Not the cure, sorry. We've got to find the root cause of the problem. It's like, you take your car into the mechanic, don't you? And they get curious and test out what's happening and find out, and then just change the little bit that needs changing. Just tweak it so it works. And that's it. And that's the other thing that's really important. I know some, especially older people, are anxious about what I might do, because understandably they don't want their brains changed, and I don't want to change your brain either. Your brain is fantastic. Okay, it's the tiniest tweak. It's just literally dealing, as you said, finding the thing and just changing the tiniest part that's making it tricky. Nothing else. We don't want to change your brilliant outside the box creative thinking brains at all. So yeah, I think that's it really. Your brain is just brilliant. Something is stopping you, something is holding you back, and it can be changed, and it can be changed easily. And then nothing, I think the other important thing is all the brilliant skills that someone with a neurodivergent brain has got. You're going to keep all of that and be able to read and write easily. So you kind of get a win-win there. But yeah, definitely don't think you can't either. It's never too late. It's never too late. And if you've got a child that's struggling, please get them help as soon as possible. It's really hard to get funding. Schools are stretched. The services are stretched. And I know not everybody can afford to get private diagnosis or screening or even, private help. But if you can find a way, then do it sooner than later before the children start to lose their self-esteem.
Amazing. What do you believe are the most pressing priorities for advancing support and resources for people with dyslexia moving forward?
Yeah, that's a really good question. I mean, I would love to get the word out there to go into. I used to work in schools. I used to train as well as a teacher, but then I did a lot of training in schools, a lot of inset days, and I loved doing it. It was always very well received. I taught quite a lot of teaching assistants, and people sort of loved the concepts and what I did. I have also moved on quite a long way from there, but even back then, some people took it forward. Some of the teaching assistants did then go on to use it. And occasionally I get stopped in the street. People go, "Oh, you're the lady who did this." And I still use it with these children, which is great. But often it got forgotten, or it was good for the meeting or the inset day, and there was a tick in a box and people moved on. I think what we need to do is really get a clear message out and make sure that schools are giving the time, and I think this is a crucial element, the time to the children who desperately need it. Because I found out as well that where I asked them to spend 10 minutes a day on a program I'd written for the children with dyslexia, that time got stolen. And I'm not knocking teachers or teaching assistants at all. It's an exhausting job, and there's brilliant people out there. I'm really not knocking them. But as far as the system goes, they were stolen away to do other things, or there weren't enough of them. And I think we just need to prioritize children who are struggling when they're younger and give them more time. Definitely. And look at new methods. If what you're doing in school isn't working, if keep shoving the phonics into their heads isn't working, then please try something different. If you keep doing what you've always done, you will get the results you've always got. It's time to be open to new ideas.
In your view, how can we foster greater collaboration and synergy between researchers, educators, technologists, and practitioners to drive innovation in dyslexia support and education?
Yeah, it's all about collaboration and being open-minded, I think. Being willing to listen. I think there is a tendency for people to be set in their ways. And there is a tendency to think we know, especially if we're very passionate about something. It's very easy to think our way is the way. And that isn't the case. I love hearing about what other people are doing and talking to other people with different ways of dealing with things. I learn from other people. Sometimes I something really inspirational can trigger a new idea in me, which can make the biggest difference to the next child I work with. I think rather than being in our little camps, and I've noticed this a lot with dyslexia, there's almost little camps, in education, not just dyslexia. There's the and I don't want to use the wrong terminology here, but there's the people who say it's all about visual stress and it's all about the eyes. And then there's the people that say, no, it's got to be really explicit phonics instruction. And it's almost like arguing between each other, because I've put posts up and had quite a lot of people coming back saying, no, this is all visual stress and they need to see somebody about the eyes and whatever. We need to stop arguing. And in fact, I'm going to put a plea out. Can we all please stop arguing and just concentrate on what's best for the children? Because it may well be that you have a point and I have a point. And if we talk to each other, we get a better result.
Dialectical.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's stop trying to say we know it all. And let's almost let's sit together, educators and researchers and people, experts, and let's see what we've got. And also let's be generous in sending people to each other. If I've got a child that I've done my work with them, but I also know they're still suffering from severe anxiety, then I want to know an expert who can really deal with that. And I want to flag that expert up to that family. Let's be generous. Let's not try and cling on to our own ideas and our own clients. Let's support each other. Let's work together.
And people need to stop gatekeeping.
Gatekeeping's a really good way to put it. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Sometimes merging more than one discipline makes a massive difference. I mean, to some degree, I've done that. I've merged my teaching experience and knowledge of teaching reading with the NLP and the knowledge of the subconscious and that sort of thing. But then imagine if we then merge that with something else and layer, I mean, get a deeper and deeper understanding. So yeah, no gatekeeping.
Sorry. I feel like anything to do with humans requires a multifaceted approach.
Absolutely, 100%. And these, I'm gonna use dyslexia because that's what I know more about. It's multifactorial. It is multifaceted. Everyone's experience is different. I don't think there's any way we can be 100% sure of what's happening or exactly what causes the struggle with reading and writing, because it's going to be absolutely different for everybody, isn't it?
Yeah.
So I agree. We're like crystals, those lovely crystal prisms you get. You get the lights and the beauty because you've got all the surfaces and all the facets of them. If they were flat, you wouldn't get all that. But it's the multifacetedness, is that a word, of them that causes them to shine. And I think that's how people are, really.
Looking to the future, what excites you most about the potential for continued advancements in dyslexia, education, technology, and NLP?
Oh, well, I'm super excited about it. I think, as I say, technology, to be honest, it quite scares me. The advancements in technology are huge. I don't know where they're going to go. I really don't. But I know there's a lot of good stuff that's making life easier for people in education, which is great. Because I think people are going to find their voice through technology, whereas before, if they were only able to do it, in more traditional ways, writing things down, they maybe wouldn't have got their voice out there. So that's really good. I think NLP, neuroscience in general. I mean, wow, what a fascinating, amazing world. That's my next life. I'd love to know more about neuroscience, although I'm not sure my science ability is up to it. But anyway, I think the more we learn about the brain, it can only help us really to understand humans, and understanding humans, I think, is the key to everything. Once we can, if we can, I don't want to take the mystery of humans away either, but I think, the more understanding we have, the more empathy we have, the better. So that's exciting. I think the missing link is this merging them together. So I'm going to stick my neck out and say that because of technology and the internet and things like this Zoom meeting option, our ability to communicate with people on a wider scale is going to lead to collaboration and us being able to merge what we know and really move ourselves forward into the future. But I think as well, the fact that there is a conversation around neurodivergence now, it seems to be gathering pace. That's exciting too. That's exciting. I think that will shake education in a good way.
It's building up great pace, like, but it needs to build up the pace as well.
We need
Yeah.
to keep going.
They go, when you go uphill, that pace that you're going, like slow but steady
Mm.
and like slow and steady pace.
Mm-hmm.
They're doing that on the like flat ground. Like,
Yeah. That's a nice way to put it. Yeah, we need to start going up the hill, do we? We need to
yeah,
put a
up the hill.
bit into it.
Slow and steady up the hill is great. Slow and steady on flat ground is just how you get drivers to be more annoyed at cyclists.
How do we do it? How do we get our voice out there? Because this is it. I want to shout from the top of the mountain. I want to make waves through this because I know this is real. I really, really do. I wouldn't be putting myself out there otherwise. How do we get to the top of the mountain with it? Do we just keep going?
Yes, I feel like for the general public is do something about it. I feel like talking about it, speaking about it, great, lovely, whatever. But if you do something, it has more of an impact. You
Yeah.
can't tell other people to do shit when you don't do it yourself.
Yeah, true that. That is
When
true.
Yeah, when it comes to you, like if you're asking for yourself, just continue what you're doing. You don't because
Oh,
you're doing something about it and you're helping people for the last 15 years specialize in like education and stuff like that, but another 20 years. It's a while since we had our induction. 20, 30 years. 20
hey, I'll keep going forever.
20 years like in like mainstream education, and it's
Yeah.
great.
Yeah, it's been a long time. So I started teaching, in my 20s, and here we are. It's 30 odd years.
God,
So
maybe I
yeah,
need 60 years.
yeah, no, I can't stop. I can't stop. I would love to start making more of an impact. I mean, that's
Yeah, so don't
that.
worry about pension age. She's still going to be going.
Yeah, oh gosh, no, I can't imagine ever retiring. I don't, yeah, no, this is what gets me up in the morning. I mean, again, to clarify, I have a lovely life. It's not like it's tunnel vision.
She wants to get away from her husband
No,
exclusive.
it's not that far from that. Not like that at all. I'm very blessed in many ways. But this is my drive. This is what gets me up in the morning. I don't work. Well, I said I don't work. We spoke about the accounts and things. But the time with people, the transformation, it's just glorious. I love it. I absolutely love it. I can't imagine not doing this. So yeah, I will keep going.
Yeah. It's like I don't understand like people like I don't know. It's like when people like my age, I'm so excited for retirement. Like I don't have to work, I don't have to do this. And I'm like, ah, interesting. I'm like I can't see I never can I don't think I will ever come to the point where I will see myself be like, yeah. Until I get really yeah, until unless I have like weeks like last week has been where I've been getting physically ill from burnout.
Oh yeah.
Good thing.
No, that's not. That's not. No, that's different, isn't it, though? That's
Yeah.
different when you overdo it. And actually, I know what burnout's like because I am inclined to overdo things, definitely myself. I find it very hard to leave things. I think, oh, just do that. Oh no, I should just do that. I should just do that. And then it's 7 o'clock at night and you're thinking, I should wind down because I know I'm not going to sleep. But yeah, I get that. It's that drive, that constant, there's one more thing to do. I completely relate to that.
The
But
worst part is when you feel shit whilst being burnt out, where to the point where you can't do anything, and you're like, I need to do this, I need to cancel on this and this person, and they're gonna think I'm a terrible person, and oh,
I know, yeah. And then yeah, I mean, what's that about? Yeah, you shouldn't feel guilty. Someone said to me once, I think I was really unwell and I'd gone into school because, I just had a class and they needed me, and I had to go and no one else would do it. They needed me. It'd be awful not to go. And I remember the head teacher said to me, she said, if you broke your leg, you wouldn't be able to come in. And I went, well, that'd be a broken leg. And she said, yeah, but you're not indispensable. She said, the world would not stop turning
Mm.
because you weren't there. And that really impacted me, but in a good way, because I just suddenly thought, oh yeah, it's not, it was almost my ego thinking that I had to be there, no one could do it as well. And of course, in some ways that's true. No, really.
Yeah.
But it was a case of just reframing to think, yeah, that things can happen without me was quite useful for me. Although I must admit, I am still driven to make things perfect.
Yeah, and the thing
I
is, like,
force myself to stop.
oh, for me, it's like, oh my God, if I don't come in, how would it impact? Because you have like, oh, like I don't know about you, like I'm just assuming as a teacher, if a substitute teacher, I'd be like, what if they undid all the work that I've
Yeah.
done?
Yeah, and then your classroom could be a total mess the next day, and the children that maybe do have additional needs or struggle with their emotions, they might have got themselves into trouble. And because, especially if things are changed, it's hard for some children. Yeah, it was never good to go back to. So there is that. You almost have more stress after you've had the time off. Do you timetable in breaks for yourself? Do you actually make that part of your way of working? Do you make yourself have a day at the weekend, or no? Yeah. I've learned that. I've learned to do that because I wouldn't take days off at weekends.
Oh my God, it even comes to going to the lavatory. Like literally, I'll be like, I will do it. Once I finish this task, I will do it. No, 10 minutes, 10 minutes, I'll do it. Oh, wait, oh, what's that email about? Oh,
So
what?
I get that too. I'm going to share something with you. Somebody told me, they said, right, if you had a child and they were really hungry, but you didn't give them food for another hour because you thought that they should finish something first. Or you had a child that wanted to go to the loo, but you didn't let them go because you thought there were three things they could do before they went. And you don't let them, they're really, really tired, but you don't let them go to bed because, I don't know, you want them to do something else. That would be neglect, right? That would be neglect, if not abuse.
Take my child away.
So why would we do that to ourselves? If you treat yourself, and this isn't always easy to do, but it's really helped me again. So really, I'll find myself doing what you do. We need to go to the loo, but I'm like doing something for dinner, and now I go, hang on a minute, I wouldn't do this for a child. It's going to take the same amount of time anyway. Put that down and go and do it. Or, I'm actually really hungry. Oh, I'm actually really hungry. Okay. Yeah, I wouldn't stop a child eating when they're hungry. I'll come back to this when I've had my lunch.
Yeah.
And that's actually really helped me regulate.
Mm.
Because I can't work. If I'm really hungry, I'm not going to think properly anyway. And the same with a kid. Okay. So when I work with children, one of the things I check in is, how are you feeling? Have you got a drink? Are you thirsty? Are you comfortable? Are you warm enough? Because you can't think and work and process information if you're not comfortable.
Definitely. But I'm like, well, I'm just like, it's me, it's fine.
I know. You've
Like,
got to
it's
look after
me, I can
yourself.
survive. I'm right, I can do this. But even then I forget about eating or drinking. I'll be like, yeah, Like I physically don't have the ability to feel hungry.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a case for some people with autism as well. I
Right.
don't know why I said it as if I don't have autism. Yeah, it's quite it's not common, but it's
So you don't feel hungry, is that?
no, I don't feel hungry, but my body can feel effects of hunger.
Wow.
When like extreme hunger. If I haven't eaten in like 4 or 5 days, I might feel lightheaded
God, I'm
or
not surprised.
yeah. So it can feel like that, but my body is unable to signal to my body that I'm hungry.
Oh, that's really interesting. So how
Yeah.
do you get around that? Do you set like timers for meals or things?
Um, no, I don't do that. Um, I'm on a 3 to 1, so I have a ratio of 3 people. So somebody will be like, "Oh, do you want to eat?" And I'm like, No." But sometimes I feel like when somebody puts the idea of food into your brain, I'm like, oh, I'm hungry. I'm not hungry. It's just, you know, when you just want food and it's been like, it's like something eating in front of you. Like you're like, I want a
Mhm.
pizza. They're having a pizza. I want a pizza. They don't.
Yeah, it's really interesting.
Yeah.
Wow. I'm a complete foodie. So for me,
Oh,
that's
doesn't mean I don't eat. Once I start eating, I can eat.
okay.
That buffet is finished, even though I'm the only person there.
Now I can relate to that because I don't have a full up switch.
Me.
I can get hungry, but I can eat so much, like way beyond what I need, and not feel particularly full and keep going. I mean, I've learned to regulate that now. But I actually had some genetic testing at one point to work out some digestion things. And it was discovered that I don't actually have the switch that tells me I've had enough to eat. So I have the opposite.
Wow. It's like I get full really, 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 really quickly
Oh, wow.
because I don't eat so much, so my stomach shrinks.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like, and the thing about it is, because it's really interesting, I learned this recently, like famine, depending, like because of Asian, I don't know if this is like for other people in Asia, but in South Asian people are 2.7% more likely to develop diabetes because of the amount of famines that we've gone
Wow.
through. And your body is more likely, because of genetics of going through famine, are more likely to store food as fat um instead of doing whatever is other thing. I
It
can't
makes
think.
sense, doesn't it? You're saving it for because you've got it's adapted to expect famine, so you're going to want to store it like squirrels storing nuts, I guess. Wow, that's see, we're endlessly fascinating, aren't we?
Yeah, and the
Endlessly fascinating.
and it's crazy because of like it's like how your body is like okay, and it's not like a world thing either. Like people have
Yeah.
famine, but it's like you got and it's 2.7% eat every single time. I think I'm not sure. Don't quote me, but
Wow,
like
that is really interesting. Our bodies and our brains are just incredible. Just
yeah,
incredible. Um, I love the fact that we're finding out more and more about them,
yeah, it's crazy.
isn't it? Really
Yeah.
is.
I've, uh, it's so like I'm like oh. And your body remembering things. It's like the body keeps score for generations.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
It's like trauma. Like your grandparents' trauma makes it more likely. Or like genetic schizophrenia. Schizophrenia or like psychosis is not seen as genetic,
Hmm.
but it affects generations and generations.
I've been hearing a lot actually about and it's something I've just sort of started to hear about and consider the whole generational thing with that. It's very, very interesting. And it does make sense. It does make sense. Our bodies, our brain, I mean, our brains have such an impact on our bodies, don't they? And connecting the two, how we feel and what our brains are doing is so important. But yeah, it is enlightening. I just hope that all this information and things we're finding out now is put to good use so
Mm,
we understand each other better.
yeah, definitely. You know, one thing that I don't believe in or don't find useful is BMIs.
No,
It,
well, that's a kind of one size fits all again, isn't it?
yeah, and it's focused on 1940s. So it's so outdated. It's like 84 years outdated. 1940s what white men.
Right. So it's not okay. Yeah.
And it's like it
Relevant.
doesn't factor in socioeconomics or anything like that. And it's like so crazy.
Yeah, that's yeah. And also we're also different. Our whole our shape, our structure of our bodies is different, isn't it? I mean, what's a good weight for one person might just not be right for others. I think I don't know, but I have a vague memory that we all have our own sort of settling point.
Yeah.
So I guess, that BMI wouldn't take account of that. I think, as we were saying earlier, there's a lot of things that we believed or were the perceived science or perceived wisdom of the time that we haven't let go of, that we should let go of.
Yeah.
Like the whole calorie thing. I mean, calories is based on, again, it's science that I can't really articulate very well, but it's actually based on something that has no relevance to how we now know we use calories in our bodies. It's
Yeah.
completely outmoded and outdated and doesn't really help anybody, but we cling to it. And I think humans are very good at clinging to what we know because, again, we don't like change.
Yeah. I feel like the worst thing they did is put calories on menus. And I'm like, how about people with eating disorders?
Yeah. It kind of ruins it, doesn't it? When you really fancy something and you see it's really calorific, because there is like a switch that kind of then makes it.
Oh, I don't look at it. I can't see it. I feel like I struggle with words in general. But I'm like, when I see calorie thing, unless I'm like staring at the menu and I have nothing to do,
I don't notice it.
yeah, I'm like,
Good, good.
that.
Yeah,
For our listeners who may be interested in learning
you've gone all over the place.
all over the face, like by the time my McDonald's has come as well,
Oh, bless you. You should eat.
yeah, I'll eat once we've finished.
Oh, here we go.
For our listeners who may be interested in learning more or getting involved in this field, what resources or next steps would you recommend?
Uh, so, can I just clarify when you're talking about with me in my field of
Yeah.
working? Yeah, the way I work. Okay. So, thank you for asking that. So, I have a website which is www.unlock-learning.co.uk. Is that okay? Do you want me to say it again?
No,
Or is
we've got it.
that was clear? Excellent.
And we
Okay.
link it down below anyway. So,
Oh, okay, fantastic. So it could do with updating, but if you go onto that, you can find ways to contact. Yeah, good. You're eating, I'm pleased. You can find ways to contact me, and I'm happy to talk to people. You can book a phone call with me or send me an email. You can find me on Facebook under Lou Barnes or Unlock Learning, and you can find me on LinkedIn under Lou Barnes. And I'm really happy for people just to contact me. I like chatting to people, have a Zoom coffee, something relaxed and informal, so I can find out about what you really need and if I'm the right person to help you. And you can ask me as many questions as you like. I think most things should start with a conversation.
definitely.
But
Yeah.
you can also find like my Facebook page. You'll find this Unlock Learning. You'll find posts and information. I've got a mailing list you can join. Again, you'll find a way to join that on the website, and then you'll get updates if I run workshops.
Ooh.
So you
Where are
can
you
come.
based?
I'm based in West Sussex, but my workshops are online. And in fact, I'm running one. I don't know if this will go out in time on the 20th or 23rd of April.
It's going out this week.
Oh, wow. Okay. Gosh, that's efficient. So there is a workshop running. I think I should check the date. It's the 23rd of April. I'm running it at night. I'm just going to check that date. I am running it on at 9:30 in the morning and also at 7:30 at night because I did a poll and it was equally split between the times. It's called Why Can't My Bright Child Read? And it's going to be interactive as well as informative. It should be quite playful as well. We'll have lots of fun with it, but I'm going to give people an insight into why bright children can struggle to read and write. We'll use some simulations and things to give people a taste of what it might be like to be a dyslexic person as well, to get a bit more empathy and understanding. And it's totally free. So you can join that. The best thing is to go to the website, join the mailing list, or find me on LinkedIn or Facebook, send me a message.
You have Instagram.
No, and I should. I think that might be something I really need to do. I'm afraid I haven't got my head around TikTok or Instagram yet.
Oh, we'll work
Maybe.
on that.
Well, any advice gratefully received because again, it's all a bit new to me. So yeah. So that, yeah, lots of ways to contact me. And I'd love to hear from anyone.
Like, what message of hope or encouragement? No, before I say that, you should write a children's book of why I can't read.
I did write a book. I like that. Why I can't read. That's a good idea. Aim it at the kids. I did write a book, and I sent it to a publisher. I spent years writing it because I didn't do it easily. I did a lot of research for it. Sent it to the publisher. They kept it for a year, and then came back saying it's not quite right for our list. Let us know if you write anything more practical. So when I sort of visualize where I want to go, I do see a book, whether it will be.
Why don't you self-publish? Is it
Yeah.
expensive?
Well, that is it, to be honest. I would love to do that. If I could raise the resources to do that, that would be a dream come true, to be honest. I think it's definitely on my to-do list. I think a book would be really good because it would get the message out there.
What you should do is people after your session, if they would like to donate,
I'd never thought that. Okay.
fund that book.
Fund the book. Yeah, someone said to me once about like a GoFundMe page, and I just thought, oh, that's asking people for uncomfortable.
Trust me, after they see your work, they'll be like, oh yeah.
Oh, that's really, well, that's lovely of you to say that. Yeah, I would very much. I have a vision of a book. It involves sitting down, doesn't it, to write it? I'm not so good at that. But yeah. Yeah. Well, thanks for the encouragement on that. But yes, I want to rework the book I've written originally wasn't quite right. I've evolved since then, and I would like to have a second go. But yeah, it's definitely something I want to do. And also I want to share it. If I can explain in a more accessible way than the first one what's happening, and also let people know how they can do it for their child, and here's how you do what I do. I'd be quite happy to share that with people.
Oh my God. Why don't you record yourself, like the audio of you reading your first book and just put it out on like Spotify or YouTube?
That's interesting.
Because like some podcasts we have is extremely technical, like your one is very technical, but we break it down and stuff like that. Whereas other podcasts is about people's experiences, so it's less technical and more experience oriented.
Mm-hmm.
If you need help, I'm here.
Oh, thank you. Maybe we can collaborate. That would be fun.
Sure.
That would be amazing. Okay, well, I'm whirring now. My head's spinning, but yeah, I would love to do something like that. So yeah, that would be great.
That's amazing. What message of hope or encouragement would you like to leave with our audience, particularly for dyslexic individuals and their families who may be navigating challenges on their journey?
Okay. So I'm going to say magic can happen for dyslexic readers and spellers at any age. And that if you have a child who's struggling and they're not getting on with any of the help they're getting, or they're not making the progress you'd like to see, then look for an alternative solution.
Mm-hmm.
Don't give up. There will be a way. Just look for an alternative solution, because if you keep doing what you've always done, you will get what you've always got.
Where there's a will, there's a way.
Absolutely.
And finally, last question. What is one thing that you're grateful for today?
I'm really grateful for this conversation. It has been so much fun, really good fun. And I've really enjoyed being able to talk about my passion. So I might sound a bit cheesy, really, but honestly, right here and now, I've just had the best morning, and I'm really grateful for meeting you. In fact, you contacted me. You saw me on LinkedIn, didn't you?
Yeah.
And you came to me. So I'm really grateful for that initial contact and where it's led and where it might go in the future too. So thank you.
It's okay. Thank you so much for coming on our podcast. It's an absolute pleasure to have you on.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
We hope that you found today's conversation both informative and inspiring. Remember, the journey to support individuals with dyslexia is ongoing, but with dedication, innovation, and collaboration, we can make meaningful strides towards a more inclusive and empowering future for all learners. Be sure to subscribe to My Strongest Chronic, the I'm My Colleagues podcast for more thought-provoking discussions on the intersections of innovation, education, and human potential. And don't forget to leave us a review and share your feedback. We would love to hear from you. Stay iconic. Until next time.